I'd like to call this meeting to order with the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless Jeffrey.
I just was handed a note. I need to ask if anybody's going to be taping the meeting, other than us. Nobody's taping the meeting tonight? Okay. I need to ask that at every meeting now. Okay, let's start with minutes. The first one is August 28th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from August 28th.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Any errors, omissions? Hearing none. Pat? Yes. Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Minutes from Thursday, September 6th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from Thursday, September 6th.
Second.
Again, any errors or omissions? Seeing none. Pat? Yes. Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
September 10th.
I make a motion to accept the amended minutes from September 10th.
And we know what the amendment is,
Yeah.
right? Will, you changed your name.
Will you change your name to Smith?
I did? You're Will Smith now.
And I came that day, that was my birthday, and you guys didn't sing happy birthday.
Sorry, we
We
didn't
didn't do
know.
a cake either.
All right, so changing Will
Send us
Smith
a
to
memo
Will
next
Spring.
year.
Yep.
Any other omissions or errors that anybody saw? Hearing none. Pat? Yes. Virginia?
Yes.
And Julie?
Yes.
I believe that brings us to October 9th.
I make a
Did I
motion.
miss one?
No, we have the 9th.
Oh, okay, October 9th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from October 9th.
Second.
Did anybody notice any errors or omissions on that one? Did not. Hearing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
October 15th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from October 15th.
Second.
Any errors or omissions on that one? Hearing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And Julie?
Yes.
Okay, 250th Anniversary Committee? Anybody here for that? No? I heard they may not be, so, they had a meeting last week and,
Okay. The money yet,
what's that?
but they were gonna give us back some money. Where is it?
They had a meeting last week, they must have, changed their mind. So Chief, I guess you're up.
Okay. Good evening. Couple of things on the agenda we have to clean up. The first is the adoption, and you should have a copy of the Emergency Medical Dispatch EMD policy, which
Yep.
stands for Emergency Medical Dispatch. This is a policy we had to put in place. We are mandated as of July 1st this year to emergency medical dispatch. That's one of the reasons we have one of our dispatchers, but I'll give you a brief overview of what it is so the public knows what we're talking. Emergency medical dispatch means if you call 911 for an ambulance and you're choking or you're having a heart attack, the dispatchers have flip cards there and they try to talk you through and give you just medical advice over the phone as much as they can. They keep you on the phone until a higher trained personnel arrives. So if a police officer arrives, it's first aid, with his first aid and CPR, then it's turned over to him. Now the EMTs arrive, it's turned over to them. Now the paramedics, it kind of gets passed up the buck. But we try to keep contact with them and keep constant update with what's going on in that situation. The state mandates that we have to have a policy. This is a policy that I've worked on with the dispatch union and through state recommendations, and I would recommend that we either accept it tonight. If you choose to take no action on it tonight, it would automatically go in effect in 30 days.
Anybody have any questions?
Do we have someone who's already assigned as a quality reviewer?
We do. We're in the process of that. I've had to go, myself, Detective Hall, and Sherry Race O'Donnell, have been attending all the classes for the quality review. We're gonna start our quality reviews effective November 1st. We have to do 5% of our calls for each dispatcher. So we've got to build a little bit of a database. It's really a lot of work.
Yeah.
And what you actually do is review the 911 tapes, and there's a criteria that you meet. Did they ask this? Did they ask this? Did they ask that? Did they give the proper information? And you rank them, and you have to have an 80% or higher ranking to meet the standard.
Is this going to impact the budget at all?
Hopefully not. So far, 911 has been paying for all the training, so.
All right.
We'll see how, it's too early to tell.
Okay.
We haven't done any of it yet, enough to really know.
Any other questions for the chief on this? Anybody want to make a motion to accept this?
I move we accept this. Any particular date?
Effective November 1st.
Effective November 1st.
That's when we put it in place with the union.
Second. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, the second item I have is the reappointment of Robert Fagundes as a part-time officer. Robert is a full-time certified police officer. He has worked per diem or intermittently for us in the past when we've had full-time vacancies. We will have a full-time vacant position coming up. He is in a per diem position right now, and he'd be willing to come back to this department. And it will save us a huge amount of training. So he was interviewed, he's done a background, we have a medical on him, he's worked with us before. He essentially can walk into the door, and we can put him right back out the door on duty.
Okay.
So I would like to have him appointed part-time pending the full-time interview process and all that.
Do you want this to June 30th?
Yes.
2013?
Yeah, yes.
I make a motion that we appoint Robert Fagundes as a part-time Templeton police officer, effective immediately, till June 30th, 2013.
Second.
Any other discussion on this? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And Pat?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Oh, I shouldn't have asked.
How's that coming along, the emergency callback, whatever you call it, reverse 911?
Okay, yes. We haven't got it up and running, but seeing Pat brings it up. What you know as reverse 911 is now defunct, thanks to Hurricane Sandy. It was housed in the sheriff's department's office in Worcester County, and they had damage and storm damage, and it was almost obsolete because no one uses hotlines anymore. So we are going to go to what we call a code red system. It's a private company, private vendor that we're going to use. We're going to enter into an agreement for a 6-month trial process with them. Should be hopefully up and running by the end of the week, and once we get all that data and how we're going to get into it, we'll have them come back to the select board. The good thing about it is you can opt in and out of it yourself, and it's technology that applies to smartphones, so we can geo-map something. If we have a water break on Patriots Road, we can geo-map that out and call all the houses on Patriots Road and tell them they got a water break. It's really advanced compared to the reverse 911.
Yes.
Question.
And how is that going to impact the budget?
It is not going to impact the budget so far. We will be able to pay for it through, communications is going to pay for it this year, and next year 911 grant already told me they would pay for it. So how's that?
Is that for cell phones also, chief?
It's designed specifically for cell phones,
okay.
and it will do hard lines.
'Cause
And all carriers too, and they already have a large database what we'll do is we'll put it on the town website, we'll put it in the newspaper, how you can just text from your phone into it, log into it, so you get the messages, and you can opt out of it also, just as
A
easy.
lot of people now are going to,
Exactly, that's why reverse 911 is no longer, it's only about 55% effective now.
thank you.
Chairman, just a general comment. Code Red is a well-known, respected public safety communication service, but with respect to the chief and tip of the hat, there are alternatives. The school department uses one of them, a major competitor to Code Red. I don't have a problem with the town having two services, just that this town should know that if you have students in school and the students are going to be on a delay or a cancellation, you'll be getting messages off of one system. If it's a town emergency, hurricane, snow, whatever, you'll be getting messages off a completely different system. And so your phone might ring twice for two different calls for the same event. It's not a big deal, but it is an issue.
If I could just comment on that, we did discuss that, and the school system really only has their students, and part of the complaint we got about the school system is it's overused. People look at it and say, oh, the school department, hang on. And we will,
Right.
we only have, the agreement we went into will only allow 5 people to be authorized to send out a message, and right now we're only gonna use 3. We're gonna limit the access of it, it's gonna be for emergency situations only. It's not gonna be overly used. And I think that's, in the next years, we'll also be able to include Phillipston in it as part of the grant. And we've already spoke with the respective fire chief and police chief, and they wanna opt into it also.
Kirk?
Chief, what will the caller ID chime in as? Police department, or you know?
It probably will, I'm not sure on that, because they had a meeting Wednesday and I was not in the office, and I haven't, I've seen it, but I haven't, I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Jeff?
It'll be whatever the caller ID on the out-dial number is. So if
Yeah.
the chief uses the main number, it'd come across as Police Templeton. If you use
Yeah.
the town hall ID, it'd be Town of Templeton. It's the out-dial on whatever the main line you're out-dialing is. So why don't you select one that's a police department line, and it'll come across that way.
And that'll be, once we're up and running, myself and the MEMA director and probably the fire chief will come in and give you a little demonstration and all the 9 yards.
Sounds pretty good.
Okay?
The reason why I asked, I'm not sure which is more important, picking up a call from the selectman's office or from the police department.
Well, if it came from here, we'd just say Town of Templeton, so.
Believe it or not, I've had people, when we have the reverse 911s, they want to opt out of it, and you could opt out of a 911 call if you wanted to.
Thank you, Chief.
Everyone has choices. Okay.
Thank you.
Bud, you're up. You also had a large document for us to read.
I do. Sorry, but it's been a while since you had to do this for me, so. First thing up is I'm asking the board to act on a work zone safety policy. And we should have one in place. We don't currently. State mandates that we do have one, and a competent person that's assigned to this particular task. But how this became kind of jumped up on our radar, through Meyer, we were able to purchase or through the grant, would buy us a mobile trailer unit. It's a boxed-in unit that houses all the safety gear that you need: cones, signage, lights, barrels, tools, and whatnot. And that was a $5,000 grant that thanks to Gene and the coordinator, I believe he helped us with this too. We got that grant. So our portion, the highway department's going to pick up the remainder of the balance on that trailer, which was $800. So for $800, we're getting a $5,800 trailer, and it's equipped with all the safety gear we need. However, to receive that grant, we really need to have this work zone safety policy in place. That made us eligible for that. Currently, right now, we have, through Meyer and previous grants, we purchased little over 100 cones that meet standards today. They're the 24-inch cones, reflective. Many barrels, I forget how many barrels we picked up, 30 some odd barrels through the grant. It's been a great thing for the highway department. We got chainsaw chaps over the last couple of years, some helmets and vests and whatnot. So, and we're, you know, my foreman and I were pretty strict on when the crew goes out on the road, any road job, they have their safety gear with them and wearing it so that they can be seen on the roads.
Questions? Go ahead.
You said you had to assign a competent person to take care of this.
Well, currently, right now, we've spoken with Meyer about holding another, or when they're holding another work safety zone seminar. We're gonna send the entire crew to it, but currently, right now, the two employees that have attended over the last 2 years, within the last 2 years, I believe it is the foreman and one of the highway employees. They attended this class. There's been some other classes offered, but they've been way down the bottom of the state. We've been waiting for something to come a little closer so that, you know, we can get the entire crew involved and get them.
But for now, you have a satisfactory amount of people involved in that?
Well, according to what Mass DOT under the safety program, they're asking that we have a competent person now. The foreman and one other employee has gone and been certified in it, so I would put them as the competent person.
Okay.
They have the most recent
Okay.
training.
All right, I'll make a motion that,
I was gonna say, any other questions?
And you've seen the draft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a copy of it.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the work safety policy for the highway department.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And Julie?
Yes.
Okay. Uniform contract.
Yeah, it's that time of the year, we're up for a new contract on the uniforms for the highway department.
The Air Force Club.
I think this is, we've gone through a 2 or 3 year contract that we had with them prior, so after 3 years, we have to renew. So we went out and got quotes, or, you know, my secretary did, went out and got quotes, and we're recommended that it be awarded to Syntest. They were actually the only one that bid back on them. We got some other quotes, but the others didn't bid. So I guess they don't need us. We've been happy with Syntest. They've provided a good service to the department.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
It has to be, it says 60 months, but it's gonna be changed to 36, because according to legal counsel, we can't go for a 5-year contract.
Okay.
Three, I believe.
It says 60 months on the, if you look at the contract
Oh,
itself.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanna make that
Okay, thank you for that.
clarification.
Yeah, first time around, we did the 36 because we told them that we don't do any more than 3-year contracts.
Right.
So maybe that might have been their typo.
I think it's just this standard, but,
Could be.
yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I had a question, because it says prices are locked for a term of 3 years with a 5% annual increase on the anniversary of this agreement. So are we locking in for a 3-year contract?
That's the way I present it.
It's 5% a year, a reasonable increase. What do you think about this?
Well, how was the last 3-year contract? Do you know, did they go up every year on that?
That I can't comment on, Chief. Mr. Chairman, I don't recall if they went up or not.
Are we able to do it for a 1 year and then revisit it?
We could, typically they want to, because, you know, of the uniforms they're providing, they want to get that 3-year contract and to make it worth their while for, I mean, they're putting up a lot of uniforms.
Right, but the thing is, it's a 5% annual increase that we would be locked into if we did a 3-year.
True, but, you know, and I see where you're going with that. However, it is I'm just gonna throw that out there, isn't a negotiated union benefit to provide them with 11
Right.
uniforms. You know, so, I don't know how that would work. I mean, one way or another, we're kinda locked into providing them with the uniforms, so.
Right, that's not the issue, is providing the uniforms. The issue is
The increase in
locking
prices.
into a 3-year contract.
Well, what if the board was to vote on the 3-year contract, and what I can do is go back and see if they will wait, pending that they'll waive that 5% increase. That way I may not have to come back and revisit it. If they don't, then we could just renegotiate with them. See where I'm going with that, Virginia?
No,
Okay.
no, because if we make a contract for 3 years, how do we renegotiate it afterwards?
Well, if you vote pending that they'll waive, that's what I said, pending that they'll waive the 5% increase.
Right, I think
And
we
or if the
can...
board wishes, if you want to table this to your next meeting,
Well, no, I mean,
I'll
people
call the
need
company back
uniforms,
and
so
see.
that's not, you know... I just brought it up because usually, if you're gonna sign a 3-year contract, you don't lock yourself in for a certain rate for the following years. Usually it's negotiable. So I will make a motion that we accept this contract pending, we can negotiate the 5% annual increase on the anniversary of the agreement.
I think, does that come out the same as pending a waiver of the 5% increase? That's what he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
Any discussion?
Bev?
Did you get any other bids, Bart, or did you just get one?
we got, we put it out to 3 different companies, and this was the only one that came back, that actually sent us in a quote. So we gave 3 other companies the same opportunity, apples for apples.
Yeah, how does that compare with past contracts for the service? Monetarily. That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, do we have money in the budget for it this year? And what happens if we have a setback in our budgetary process this coming year and we don't have any money?
There's money in the budget now.
There's money in the budget currently to get us through this fiscal year, and it's, again, like I stated, it's
It's in their contract.
It's in their union
Negotiated,
contract.
right.
as
Well, I
it is.
understand it's in the contract, but I'm talking about just the monetary portion of it, not the fact that you have to end up doing the contract for the service.
Well, we have to end up honoring this, the contract we're talking about is the union, the employees.
Oh, the employees?
Right, within
Oh,
their
okay.
contract,
I
it's a
thought it
contracted
was contract.
benefit, no, that we provide them uniforms, so we need to do
Well,
that.
I understood that, but
Right.
I was thinking that we're contracting with an outside service to provide those uniforms.
Right.
That's right.
Right, I
That's-
think we've always done that.
Okay.
I guess I would like to see the last contract we had with them and see how it was worded, if it was worded the same way.
See how it was worded and see what the price differences are from them to
As
this.
opposed,
Do you have it handy?
I get it.
as opposed to, for instance, having the town purchase the clothing and issue it out to the employees with the requirement that they launder it rather than having the town launder it. They do not have to accept that. That's a change in the contract, but they might prefer that as an alternative. It may be lower cost, though. This is a relatively low-cost contract, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it is.
while she's, yeah.
Are there any state bids for uniform contracts? Not that you know.
Not that I'm aware of. There could be.
Kind of
Pat,
curious,
but I'm
yeah.
not-
I was just kind of curious.
But then again, sometimes state bid contracts aren't
Right.
as cheap as
Not
what
as
we
good,
get.
yeah, no.
If I recall, I thought they had a percentage increase even with the last contract we had because their costs go up, cleaning costs go up, fuel goes up. I don't recall 100%.
Where in the contract does it say about this 5%?
The argument's to be checked.
Says it on the first page,
Whereabouts does it?
Yeah, it was written differently.
last paragraph, future pricing.
No, it's in the next page. It's down the bottom.
So on this top part, uniform pricing, weekly prices per unit,
This is from
right?
them too.
Like polycotton shirts, 19 cents, that's per shirt.
This is
That's for
3
sure.
years.
Yes.
And how many, do you know how many get swapped out every week?
They're issued 11 uniforms, so they have one on, 4 go in the wash, so that they constantly have a clean set
Yeah.
each of the 5 day.
5 working days, yeah.
We haven't increased any of their issues. It's been the same 11 uniforms.
These prices look low, these are a little high.
It's 525.
But you don't have to do the emblems and the,
Right.
every time, that's a one-shot deal.
Right.
That's right, that's for a new issue, you know, you have to
New
pay for
employee,
the
right.
emblems.
And there is no replacement fee for the garments themselves when they wear out.
When they wear out.
Yeah.
With-
Well, yeah, but if we went to a system where we were buying them, we would have to rebuy them.
See, on this one, it doesn't say anything about a 5% increase.
On the back side of it.
It doesn't on this one either.
A few years back, we looked into, clothing allowance.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be much more expensive than this room.
See, this is my concern. This is the contract that we're gonna sign right here. The 5% stuff is on another piece of paper. It's not even on the
That only has,
contract.
if I see there's more writing on the real contract.
And is the 5% on that side?
Geez, the bugs are back.
We have to get an exterminator.
Where I'm seeing 5% is on the
Get-go.
bottom of the first page.
Yeah, but that's not part of the contract.
Oh,
That was the contract.
oh, you're not, okay, yes, I see what you're saying, not written.
Yeah, I would like to have all the terms written in the contract.
See, on the back of this, where all their legal mumbo jumbo is, we had changed it to a 3-year contract. Crossed out some language. I don't see anything about the 5%. Just looking for it. So yeah, I would take through these proposal pending, checking into that.
I'll pull them all.
Yeah, I'd like to amend it to the 36 months.
Right. and
The 3 year.
3 year.
Amended, motion seconded.
Any other discussion? So the motion is to go into the agreement pending checking into this 5% increase annually and make it a 3-year contract. Okay. Pat,
Yes.
did you have a question, Dave? Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Okay, the next item I'd like to talk about is the Highway Department wishes to surplus a 1986 GMC bucket truck, once donated to the Highway Department from the Light Department. We've had that truck in service for many years until they recently transferred a 2002 International bucket truck to the Highway Department. We decommissioned the old truck. Currently, it is housed at 252 Ballinville Road. It's kept inside. And the 2002 has been commissioned and equipped. And recently, within the last in the last month, the highway crew went to a training seminar on the proper use and handling of a bucket truck. So certificates should be arriving shortly, but they've all been certified to work with and around a bucket truck.
So you have your new one from the Light Department?
It is housed in the highway barn now and fully equipped.
Okay. So I'll take a motion to surplus the 1986 bucket truck that the clerk has.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Do you know what you're gonna do with it?
Well, there's two things that the selectmen can do with it. Put it out to auction. It's a 1986. I'm thinking you're gonna get a lot of money for it. I think you're gonna get somebody coming in lowball a price on you, and it is what it is. Being a 1986. However, there's two ways you can do it. You can sell it, or you could donate it to another neighboring town that doesn't have one, as we never had one, and they could use it within their department. I think I suggested that at a previous meeting.
Yep.
Those are two options that I would give the board to think about.
Does anybody have any other questions or thoughts? To just surplus it tonight, decide what to do with it?
Yeah, it's not gonna go bad sitting in.
Right.
Yeah.
Perhaps if the board wishes, I mean, I could talk with some neighboring towns to see if there's an interest in it. Whether they have funds available to buy it and/or, I can put some feelers out there, see if anybody's see if a town's interested in it first. I mean, it helped us out for many years. We get it donated. It doesn't owe us a dime. I mean, the truck still runs good. Everything's, in service on it. It's operable.
Okay, so the motion's been made to surplus the 1986 GMC bucket truck. No other discussion, Kurt?
Why don't you just put it out for bid while you're asking other towns at the same time? It doesn't hurt to find out what kind of offers you're gonna have come in on it. Why let it sit there for 6 months or a year the way things work in this town? You ain't using it, put it out for bid. You find a town that wants to take it, you open up the bid and say, geez, our best bid is $3,500. Do we want to give it to this town, or do we want to keep the $3,500? Just like that, because I don't know what the value is. Then you have all your options quicker.
I think there are other options. I had talked to the town coordinator, Jeff Ritter, and he mentioned a service called Municipid, and maybe he could explain more about how that works.
It's a public auction website used by 6 states in New England. Actually, the physical location of this outfit's down in Connecticut, but it's not too far from here. Unless it's this side of Hartford. In the last 2 towns that I have administered, we've used Municipid to surplus usable, valuable public equipment, and runs as sort of a reverse auction. You are given the option of putting the equipment up there, letting bids accumulate, and you have the right of last refusal. If the bid is not adequate, then you just refuse, pull it off the site. It never leaves town. And the way it works is whoever buys this equipment must come here at their own expense, pick it up and move it at their own expense, and appropriately title and insure it at their own expense. So this process is intentionally designed for municipalities to keep us out of any liability, and for that matter, an opportunity to refuse the bid if and when it's an inadequate bid. It's pretty successful. It's grown dramatically. I know it's endorsed by the state who uses it, but there are probably 20 or 30 towns in the region that use it as well. It's just an alternative.
Is there any charge for the auction?
No, the people who buy it pay the fee of the expense of taking it off. It's a fixed fee. They make their money just on a fixed fee. It's relatively short money.
Yes, Bob?
How do people learn about this auction, where it is, so on?
You can publish the website. So it's a website. You can actually go down and look, but since the equipment never physically leaves here, you just go on the website. And you can, if you want to buy equipment, that's a good place for anybody who wants to buy equipment to go as well.
Was it just for municipalities?
You must be a municipality to participate.
So you can buy as a public though, right?
You can buy and sell. We can buy off that site if we want to.
No, but the public could buy?
Yes, the public buys off that site.
Oh,
Yes.
But you can only post,
to bid.
right, you can only post public goods and services on the site, meaning only municipalities can put stuff up. Anybody can buy it.
Oh, okay.
Anybody can buy off the site.
What I've seen in the used books is that particular year thereabouts is, it's been selling $1,200, give or take one side or the other. I've seen some on there as high as $1,500, $1,600, and some a little lower than $1,000, so just,
Do you know how many miles the truck has on it, roughly?
not today, I don't.
86.
No, actually, you wouldn't have that either.
Well, it had 44 when you took title in 1996, so.
Yeah, it probably has.
There's a little more than
More than
44.
100 probably, or,
I
you don't turn it that much.
I can give you that number tomorrow, but I doubt very much whether, if it had 44 when we took it, I doubt very much whether it's got 65 on it.
Wow.
You know, it's a truck that we use for tree trimming and whatnot, but it never got a lot of high mileage on it.
Yeah.
Very short time. More hours on it than running hours, because it sits there and runs.
I'd like to move that we allow Jeff to go ahead and post it
And we'll talk tomorrow.
Sure. Give you the update.
on that site. See what we can do.
Second.
so the amendment's been changed to allow Jeff to post it on.
Okay, since
We're gonna still, we have.
Yes, you're welcome to ask around. This is just.
still got a surplus, and I don't think you have to vote on that.
Oh,
We
okay.
haven't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
We
you're right.
started
we
to,
didn't.
and then.
So I'll wait and do that motion after.
So the motion is to surplus it. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And Julie?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I move that we allow Jeff to go and post it on that website, municipal website.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Seeing none. Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And Pat?
Yes. Chris?
Yes.
Got a question real quick. We talked about your old Clark. Is that something you want to surplus too, or the loader that was blown or something like that, you said?
It's got a knock inside the engine that mechanic hasn't had the opportunity to look into to see if it's a quick fix or I should say a cheap fix or an expensive fix.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask a little more leniency on that until we look at it and determine we don't want to touch it.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, fuel master contract?
That's the contract here. This particular company, Northeastern Petroleum Services and Supply Incorporated, they're on the state bid. And their price for the hardware and software was $13,309. That does not include the cost of an electrician that the town would hire to do all the wiring changeover for the unit. We have set up a date for this company and one of the electricians in the area to meet on this coming Wednesday, tomorrow afternoon, and so that he can get some kind of a quote together so that I can bring it back to the board of what the electrician's costs are going to be to this project. The reason for us to use our own electrician, based on this gentleman, Paul, who I've met with a couple of times, this Northeast, he represents Northeast, is that they have an electrician that works primarily with their company. However, they're based, I believe it was Connecticut or Rhode Island, I forget which two, but it would be costly to get them up here. So we're better off to use our own local vendor if we can. That's originally why we had put a price in there of $14,000, you know, that previously I reported, estimating that it may be around $700-800 thereabouts, you know, that.
It also says in here, though, it includes the guy will come, their electrician will come for one day and help our electrician.
Well, it won't be their electrician, it's really gonna be one of their service guys who knows a lot about it, maybe he's done a little bit of, I don't believe it's their electrician that they contract. But yes, he told me that when he stopped up last week, that their support staff will help in the changeover. There's a lot of technical stuff that in this hardware that's got to be hooked up. So that's going to happen on tomorrow. They're going to meet, and then to move forward, once this Northeast, what they want is they want a signed contract from the board, and or we can get, if we sign a quotation, he's happy with that, with the contract to follow, so that they can get the equipment ordered and get it ready to be shipped to us. Currently, right now, an install date won't happen until February. They have, and it all happened at once. They got 4 sales on this particular unit. So he's gonna try to bump us up somewhere in the middle there, and hopefully maybe after December or end of December, he could get in and get us installed. But the quicker we move on signing this and making a commitment to that company, then he'll try to shuffle some things around, and because he understands what our need is right now.
So we need a motion to accept the Northeast Petroleum bid for 13,309.
Move we accept the Northeast Petroleum bid for 13,309, and have the chairman sign the, is that what you want to do?
That's right. If the chairman would sign the quotation, he said, this Paul Mahan, McMahon, said he would honor that until, and then with a contract to follow. Gene's working on putting the verbiage in the contract based on the quotation. And of course, there's a little red tape that's got to go to town attorney, but he's okay with the quotation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any other discussion? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
So, as soon as I have a piece of paper, I'll sign it.
Well, we just have copies, he wants the original.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see, is the original here, Chuck, do you know? I have a copy too.
I don't think I do. I think I just got this email. I'll have to check.
I'll check with Gene tomorrow if you don't have it here. We usually send the originals down here, and I'll check.
Yeah, they can just email me and I'll.
Okay.
All right, one more thing.
Yeah. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is, and I know there are some members here that are new to the board, back when we had the big ice. FEMA came in And one of the things that FEMA talked about was that the town had to adopt a policy for department heads work in the emergency so that FEMA or MEMA could reimburse the town back the money that the town might have had to spend on department heads, depending on what town it's in and whatnot. Now, in our office, we have tried to put our hands around that policy that happened back with Big Ice. We can't seem to locate it within our files, or haven't to date. We've been going through old stuff, haven't found it yet. I know that we had a copy of it, and there's a copy here somewhere in the selectman's office, and of course, having a new staff in your office too, Lord knows where it's at. You know, I brought this up to you, Chris, that, you know, in the event, sometimes some emergency comes into the future and whatnot, another Big Ice or whatever the governor or the president declares as an emergency to get reimbursed, that particular FEMA agent or representative told us that the town needs to adopt that policy if they want to get reimbursed for, you know, be able to be reimbursed for such funds.
This is FEMA's policy.
It's FEMA's policy. I haven't found it yet. We've been really looking for it, but I poked around on their website a little bit, and I still haven't stumbled across it, but it's there. That's part of it, and then the other part was, I had asked at a previous meeting about overtime for the highway superintendent plowing emergencies, you know, hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever we get thrown at us. The time that department heads put in for it, and I'm speaking for myself. As you know, the last 7 years I've been coming in and plowing all snowstorms on overtime and haven't been compensated for it. And I'm asking the board at this time to, you know, that I get compensated for, whether they would agree to compensate me for my time that I put in along with my crew. Not only am I out there supervising the whole operation, trying to get it done in a timely fashion, and we've improved over the years. We've streamlined our system down, and but at the same time, I'm also providing a service by operating a piece of equipment, getting the roads done, which in turn gets the crew home earlier, less time, you know, it's costing. So we've had a staffing problem over the last few years that's happened with snow and ice operations. We used to be a little bit bigger crew, but cemetery department's not plowing anymore. And we had a member off the sewer department that last year declined coming in. He didn't want to plow anymore. So we only have one employee from the sewer department that's still willing to come in. Cemetery, they're done now. Medical reasons and personal reasons, they're not plowing, so we lost 2 people there. So the slack had to be picked up somewhere. We do hire part-timers to come in. Lost some of them. We still have a couple of them, so it's always changing, and each time we have to bring in a new part-timer to take, say, typically the place that what I'm doing, they're inexperienced or they're not qualified to run what I'm running. Typically I come in and I run the grader, and plow with that, and
You talked about that before. Are there other people qualified to operate the grader besides you?
yeah, there's people that are licensed there, they don't have the experience that I offer.
Yeah.
But when I pull a guy out of another truck, another heavy truck, somebody's got to fill that heavy truck, so, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a...
I'm not familiar with the contract, but does it say it's okay for the superintendent to plow? I mean, you're taking away from drivers' potential
And the
overtime.
guys in the labor union.
We've been doing that right along.
Well, it doesn't
We do
mean
that
it's right, but,
Well, we do that with part-timers.
yeah,
So
again.
we bring part-timers in. You know, the highway department's 7 guys. Eight with the mechanic, and then if you bring in a sewer guy, that's 9 guys. We plow with 13. You know, 13, or And we've got, right now, we're plowing with 13 the last year or so because we don't have enough manpower to, some smaller trucks are sitting in the yard because, and if a guy calls in sick or is on vacation or whatever the case might be. So that's the problem. It's a little bit of a staffing problem. And, you know, some of the part-timers come in, they're qualified to run a small truck, you know, pickup truck. They're not they're not licensed to run a bigger truck. And, or they may be licensed, but they're not qualified to run a bigger truck. So, to answer your question, there's nothing in the union contract that says the highway superintendent cannot work.
Okay. But the
But,
guys don't have
however-
a problem with you
Right.
doing that?
However, I want to state this, I don't come in and leave a union guy home. I'm the last one to come in on a calling for a snowstorm. And I'm the first to want to go home. And I emphasize, want to go home. You know, so therein, there hasn't been an opportunity where I've had to come in and fill in on a sanding operation. We've been okay there. We're sanding with 5 trucks. And with staff of, you know, all the union guys, even if 1 or 2 aren't around that particular sanding operation, is enough to fill that. It comes into the plowing operation.
What would that do to your budget? On, say, a typical winter, if we had to start?
If we started paying you overtime.
No different really, Chris, than what it's, you know, I mean, based on what my hourly rate, based on what we're paying a part-timer, I mean, if you, I'm a few dollars more than a part-timer, but, you know, worth, you know, and worth every penny of it too, I'll tell you that much. But what will it do? It's gonna, you know, any overtime would come out of the snow and ice. If it's a daytime snowstorm, you're paying me anyways.
Right.
So,
And it would come out of snow and ice.
it would come out of snow and ice. So,
So we're only talking about wintertime
it's only,
emergencies?
it's winter time. Currently, right now, what I'm really trying to address with tonight is snowstorms. You know.
Well, when we
winter
talked before,
operate-
you were
oh,
talking
snow and
about
ice.
broken water pipes, all that kind of stuff that you have spent lots of time on in the past. Now, that wouldn't be coming out of snow and ice. That would have to come out of your budget.
If there is a water main break or, you know, emergency like we had this summer, and I was called in to work on the water system as a operator or whatever, the water department would pay for that, as they did.
And they did.
Okay.
If it's a, you know, an unforeseen emergency, hurricane, tornado, we have that kind of event, an ice storm.
Once an emergency.
Well, if it was an ice storm, it would probably come out of snow and ice anyways, but I mean, if it's a warm weather emergency, and, I mean, if we're having an emergency, shouldn't I be here?
And once the state or the federal government declare emergencies, then that's when this FEMA thing kicks in.
Kicks in,
We
we
need
get
to find that FEMA
reimbursed.
policy so
Right.
that we can
Before we
adopt
can
it.
adopt it.
Right, I mean, but we don't have to have that for the snow operations.
Right.
Bev, you had your hand up?
Yeah. I live way up on the other side. And I will never, ever have fault with the highway department, because come hell or high water, the roads are open. Now, I think on the light company, the guy that's kind of a supervisor gets paid overtime. And I think that if the other departments are paying their people overtime, I think it's about time Bud got paid too. Because it's only fair. And if he isn't in that truck driving down the road, he's gonna have somebody else in that truck driving down the road. Been doing this for a long time. I don't think it's, we're so poor now, it don't make a hell of a lot of difference. I would do that for him.
I also think that if this policy was, you know, if we voted to pay the department heads for emergencies, I think you might get another plower back.
because I know when it stopped because he wasn't getting compensated.
That's correct.
So, you might get another qualified person, on your trucks. Will?
Yeah, the only thing I have around this is the fact that they're still on the table whether or not our department heads are salaried or non-salaried. And until that issue is totally resolved, I don't know how you can end up getting around that. Because a salaried person, basically, their salary, they don't get overtime.
Right.
Until that is resolved by the personnel and the selectmen, I don't know how we can address this going forward without creating an issue.
I think we need to take this under consideration. I agree with Beverly. He needs to get compensated somehow, but I just don't want to do some wide open thing that says, okay, anytime, anywhere,
Until our policy is etched in concrete, you've still got such a difference between the other departments in town. It's up to you guys. If Pam this winter, by spring we'll have by spring easily we will have a policy, and then it should go across the board to everybody. But right now, you've got light company guys that are getting paid to be a supervisor, but they're getting paid overtime. And, we can't make a policy here in this room, because stuff like that's going on right now. It's right, when we get to a point where we sit down and say, all right, you guys, a salary, you're working whatever hours you have to work to do your job. You're hourly, you work over 40, you're getting paid, time and a half. It's up to you. He's asking for now, we don't have a policy right now.
And the reason I brought this up, Mr. Chairman, is because of some past events where managers, received a stipend for work in Big Ice. And then after Big Ice was all said and done, and we all sat in this room, it was spoke about from the Board of Selectmen saying that we're gonna find a way to make sure you other departments get paid too. You know what? It's 2012, and I haven't seen a dime. And Virginia, I respect what you say, we ought to table this. We've been tabling this for years. I've been asking this for a long time.
I know.
And I'd like to know, am I an hourly or a salary employee? Does anybody know that?
I'd have to read.
I'm confused. I was told I was salary, but then, and then I was told,
I think you're
I think you're salary.
and then I was told because I don't have a contract and I'm an hourly exempt employee. So I'm confused.
Well, actually, that's probably more the truth, an hourly exempt.
I mean, I know what my hourly rate is, but,
Right, well, we calculated your hourly rate to do the water,
correct, so.
okay, so that we could invoice the water.
Yes.
I think in this case,